You got to make your own decision. But where you're at right now is where everybody who quits. And that means it's like, you know what? Let me not worry about Hollywood. Let me stop worrying about the validation of
Mhm.
Hollywood and just focus on creating.
On this episode of Light, Life, and Limitations, we're diving into the brilliantly chaotic world of animation, satire, and creative storytelling with someone whose imagination refuses to stay inside the lines. Our guest is Vision, the writer, animator, and voice behind the adult animated comedy series Trashterpiece Theater. He's a multi-hyphenate creator who builds entire universes from scratch, shapes characters with humor and heart, and brings cultural truth and raw authenticity into every frame. In this episode, we're exploring what it really takes to create bold, boundary pushing art while juggling the realities of life, the doubt, the identity, the late nights, and the balancing act between passion and responsibility. So settle in, because today we get to step inside the mind of a creator who sees the world differently and turns that vision into art. I'm your host, Sharvon Hales, and this is Light, Life, and Limitations, a podcast where creation meets reality.
When the world feels out of frame, every thought, every fear, every revelation, I find my way through the quiet flame, lighting life in all the limitations.
Welcome, Vision.
Hey, I'm
She
gonna have
like
to
your
use that.
intro?
I'm gonna have to
You
use
like your
that intro in my pitch deck. Jeez, man, you said that better than I could ever pitch it.
Well, I will definitely send that over to you.
I appreciate
I
that.
might have had a little bit of help from ChatGPT,
You know, you got to use what you can use.
but you know, I had to give it the right prompts.
But you delivered it.
Yes, I appreciate the feedback there. So lets me know I'm going in the right direction.
Amen.
But even though I gave you that glowing introduction, why don't you introduce yourself, give your a little background about who you are and what you do and where you're from.
I'm Biz Perry Vision DiVirgilio. I'm born, and raised in North Philly. I'm a poet by craft. I've been a full-time artist since July 4th, 2012. Like so every year Independence Day is literally my Independence Day. So I've toured the world doing poetry. I've been blessed to do that. Teach poetry. I always say poetry's taken me from Fairbanks to the West Bank. And in 2019, I started doing like creative writing, storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on Instagram on the story slides,
Yeah.
one slide at a time. And it would take me like 3 hours to tell a whole story.
It'd be like 50 slides.
It really would be like 50 slides. And it was like a real impromptu. There wasn't even anything I planned or like had a marketing anything for. I just was told a story one day and people liked it. And it was like tell another one. And I was like, all right, I'll do it next week because I was tired. And I think I ran out of slides. I think Instagram only let you have 50 slides, so I couldn't do another one anyway.
I was like, you're done.
It was like, all right, you good for this week. So I told another one the next week, and that led to 49 weeks in a row of me telling
Yeah, and then you
stories.
get to a point where like some of your stories had parts. It was like part 1, part 2. Like, yeah, it was carrying over. I remember that.
It was like cliffhangers, and I was getting creative with the cool little gifts and everything on there. And I hit up a friend of mine who I met in Philly at the Harvest, which our collective baby. Is named Donnie Jackson, who is a poet, but he's also a producer. And he was like, I think you have something here. And we were thinking about maybe collabing on it and doing it live action. But then COVID hit. And that was that. But I had already been tinkering with animation. Like I can't draw for anything, but I can. I was getting a whole bunch of like free trials of animation suites and tinkering with that. And then I found one that I really liked. And 100+ episodes later, I'm pretty sure I have the only scripted weekly independent animated series in the world.
Nice.
And it's funny and it's witty and it's ridiculous and it's my baby.
Yes. So I just want to give some quick background on how I know you, since you brought up the Harvest. So Vision and I go back. At this point, 25 years, 25, 26 years.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
In the AOL chat rooms.
AOL chat, yo.
Back when you weren't supposed to meet people from the internet.
Exactly.
I think Vision was probably one of the first people I ever met off of the internet in real life.
When it was like, you got in trouble for that back in the day. Like,
Yeah,
you
I
was going to
definitely lied to my family and said I picked me at, like, the movie theater or something.
Yeah. And like now it's such a thing, like you just swipe and it's like, I'm gonna go meet this random person that I literally just saw their profile. Back then it was like, it was just chat rooms and you met. And I still have, again, I have friends. Some of my closest friends are off AOL from like AOL 4.0 days. Like, I'm still cool
the cool thing about the AOL chat rooms back in the day, and it's the same with social media today, is that you bond off a personality with people. And I think that's where it was always like me, you, and I think her name was Maya from like Harrisburg. We
Yeah,
chat
Maya.
rooms, like trash talking people, and so if somebody came in was trying to bully everybody, we
just trash them real fast.
We were just collectively trashing people.
I'm still cool with Maya too. Maya Moody Cakes on IG. I'm still cool with her. Like, again, it's
Shout
crazy.
out to Maya.
Shout out to Maya.
Maya did my very first UPhoto logo, my very first photography logo back when I was UPhoto. So, going from that, when you were transitioning into being a spoken word poet, I remember you sent me a picture, I think on like Facebook chat. You were like, I'm going to use this for a headshot. And
I was like, no, you're not.
Absolutely not.
You're like, no, you're not. You're 100% not doing that.
Meet me at the art museum. We're gonna take some pictures. And that's kind of why I wanted you to be the first guest on the podcast, because you were pretty much like my first like photographer, my real first photography client. And that those pictures were the jumping off point for me transitioning into professional photography. So it's just a full circle moment. And then also during the pandemic, I was trying to do a podcast. Didn't really happen, but you were supposed to be the first guest. We did the interview, and then just like, life was happening. So when this came about, I was like, I'm going back to Vision. You immediately said yes. So here we are now. So taking it back to Trashterpiece Theater, because I was there during the days of the Instagram stories. And I remember the demand of people saying like, can you make this into a series or something we can watch? So you mentioned that you researched different animation suites. You discussed possibly doing it live action. So let's talk about how you maybe overcame any type of like obstacles or imposter syndrome or whatever going into the animation direction with it.
The funny thing is, the imposter syndrome didn't exist initially because one of those things was like, I didn't know what I didn't know. I felt like I was so outside the box that I didn't know to be scared or that I couldn't do this. So I'm just thinking, like, I didn't know anybody who was doing it. The animators that I did know who like were professional animators, I couldn't afford them. I was broke as hell at the time. So I couldn't afford them. And I needed something more like a quick turnaround. So I was like, yo, I got to do this myself. So I just did a whole bunch of free trials to see what I liked and see what I was good at, see what would work best, that I could be as creative as I needed to be. And then, I got a couple episodes out, and the first episodes are absolutely dreadful. And I remember sending you the first episode, and you was like, Viz, are you writing this first or are you animating it first and then writing it? And I was totally doing it backwards. I was like, wait a minute. Like, because again, I have it in my head. So I'm sitting here creating the scenes in my head, and I'm like, all right, then I'm going to go back and tell the stories off the scenes because I see it in my head. Like, I'm blessed with an amazing long-term memory. I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I know what I was wearing at the Greek in 1999 and who was walking on Broad and Dolphin. I can see that vividly in my mind. So I was doing it backwards. So you was like, yo, you supposed to write it first, Viz, and then you storyboard, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should like do some research on what the hell I'm doing. So, I watched some YouTube videos, and then subsequent episodes after that were less trash, but still trash. I didn't have a mic. I was using the mic off like some headphones, like some Beats headphones, just talking into the Beats headphones. And then a poet in Philly was like, yo, okay, this is really funny, but yeah, sound sucks. I got a mic I ain't using. Come get this Yeti mic.
Nice.
And it made me realize, like, if you do something, a community that mess with you gonna rally around you.
Universe is going to, if you do your work, the universe is going to start to align you with the things that you need to make it better.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happened every step of the way. And the imposter syndrome didn't come into play until it got viral. I had a couple viral things, and now some celebrities are DMing me, and a manager is hitting me up, and this guy want to maybe talk, and now I'm talking to Pharrell's people and Don Cheadle's people. Now I'm like, I am in over my head. I didn't go to school for any of this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know how to format a proper script. I'm writing in paragraph blocks, but I'm funny, and I know how to tell a story, and I know how to deliver it. So that's when the imposter syndrome kind of snuck in. When I was like, I have no idea what I'm actually doing. I'm just doing it. I was building the plane as I was flying it.
Let's back it up a little bit, because let's talk about actually like what Trashterpiece Theater is about. Because like, you know, for the people listening and watching who are completely unfamiliar, this is new to them, Trashterpiece Theater. Because now that you got all types of spinoffs, let's talk about what the origin of the stories are, and then you know, and then we'll kind of dive into your creative process.
Yes, I made mention I was in the midst of depression. Like, I was in a deep depression. 2018 was really bad. You know, the organization I was with imploded. The harvest was done. I was really trying to figure out who the hell I was. So I was sitting on my dad's couch, and I made mention of I had a stalker. And from the MySpace days, I had a stalker. And she got my phone number. No. It wasn't Sharvie at all. It wasn't nobody from the AOL days. It wasn't nobody I'm cool with right now. I had a stalker, and she got my phone number by overhearing me giving it to somebody else.
Oh.
And then pretended to be said girl when she called me, and then invited me over. And my little ratchet ass was like, jackpot, 2:00 in the morning. I'm just leaving a stinger, joined our bag last week. I'm thinking I just rolled in there. Thank you, God. My dumb ass goes over to Jersey, and it's not her. And so I just made mention that I had a stalker, and people was like, hey, look, can you, like, you gotta tell, you can't just say that. You gotta tell us the story. And then I wrote it out. And that became story after story after story. And out of that I named it Trashterpiece Theater because it's a bunch of trash stories and I like to call it an unbecoming of age. All the things that I've learned that I thought made me a man, that I had to unlearn and unbecome the things that I thought made me a man. So it's a bunch of stories from the late 90s and early 2000s.
Right there. Write that down somewhere. That
What's
unbecoming
that?
Of age.
Oh yeah, I use that in my marketing. That's my baby, right?
Memoir. That's gonna be a memoir.
Yeah. TM, trademark that joint. But yeah, it's the misadventures of me and my friends growing up in an urban area, growing up in North Philly, and all the things that we did in our late teens and early 20s, like early to mid 20s, that we thought made us men. And it's like I look back, like, I don't know how I survived any of this. I got so lucky and grateful to have the friends that I have. Like we just did so much stuff. And now that I look back on it, it's like, you know, it's trash, but we learned so much from it. So it's never like glorifying some F-boy stuff. It's like, hey, we did this, and now let me tell you what we learned from this and how this wasn't a good thing. It's not a glorification, and that's why it's an unbecoming of age. So there's always like a Doogie Howser kind of diary moment at the end to bring things full circle.
Like bring it, yeah.
So there's always that, and it's like it started off at like 5 to 6 minutes because that's all that I could deliver, and now that we're up to like 13-minute episodes. Like, I was hoping to get to 11 minutes. Like, that was like my goal, to get to 11 minutes, because that's like the 2 episodes per in one episode. Like how Beavis and Butthead is 2 episodes, SpongeBob is 2 episodes. So I was like trying to measure myself against that. And so every episode is just like a different misadventure between me and my friends, and that's developed into A and B stories. That's developed into all kinds of ridiculous transitions.
The thing is that people don't realize. So like with script writing, 1 page is a minute. Yeah. Right? So, and when you start doing script writing, getting 5 pages out can be kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah.
So I know to like people from the outside hearing, oh, he was trying to get to 11 minutes. That doesn't seem like a lot. But like, I'm the type of person, I could be editing a video for 3 hours and only have 30 seconds worth of
that part
playable video. So it's like going from what you said originally was like, you know,
5, 6 minutes.
5, 6 minutes and getting up to 13 minutes. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of people don't, and I think people, like you said, people see 13 minutes and they think it took you 13 minutes. And it's like, nah, like and again, I'm one-stop shopping. Like the good news is I'm blessed to have like different voice actors now. Like I just started getting into my director bag, which I'm loving, and in the studio directing other actors and kind of letting go of some of this process. But I still write it, I still animate it, I still voice it, I still do the video editing and the sound editing. So all of that could take me 30 to 40 hours by itself in the process, just for 13 minutes. So like I could write a 22-minute episode. I just can't deliver it right now because the process is too long.
Production of it,
Yeah.
But eventually you'll have a team, you'll have
100%.
editors, and you'll have sound people and stuff. You'll get there because
Oh,
to see
100%.
from where you started to where you are now, that's definitely we're gonna have you back on the podcast in a couple years, and we'll be talking about Vision Studios.
That's the thing. Vision statements is what I want to do, and I want to help outside of myself. I want to be able to give opportunities to other creatives that are trying to push through and
help
have an idea.
produce
Yeah,
and tell other people's stories.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
let's talk about one of the spinoffs where you were soliciting for other people to submit their stories in for you to produce. Now, what's the name of that spinoff?
That's called Trash Can Time Machine.
Trash Can Time Machine.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that was brilliant because I think I had mentioned that to you one day. I was like, I don't have any trash stories, but I got some trash stories of things that was done to me.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. And then you have that. And then you had the, what's the spy one?
006'7".
006'7".
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite one so far.
Yeah. That came from a dream. Like I had this ridiculous like fever dream where I was like this special agent at this football game and in Delaware County. I don't know if it was Academy Park or not, but it was Delaware County.
Oh gosh.
And I was waiting for this Asian spy to come deliver me some. And it was the most absurd thing. And I remember waking up talking to one of my friends, and he's like, yo, write that down and make that. So I kind of tinkered around with that. And that was also kind of my proof to Hollywood that I can tell stories that aren't just my recollection. That I'm a storyteller. This is what I do. Like, you know me as a poet. Almost all of my poems, the Lightning Bug poem, Thirsty, they're all stories. Almost all of my poems are stories. So that was proof to me, but also to Hollywood that it's like, yo, I can do more than just tell my stories from
Your
North
own
Philly.
stories, yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of your stories, has there been any instances of like people who are the feature of the story, like hitting you up like, yo, that's like, why would you tell that story?
Yeah.
Or that's not how it went. That's not, you're remembering it wrong. Has that happened?
So a couple times that's happened. The thing is, it's never. I always tell people if I've been, I know I wasn't always like a spot on good person. So if anybody got a story about me, like write it down, voice it, I'll animate it for you. I promise. I'll help you post it. But I have had some people hit me up. It's like, yo, like there's one Afro Latino woman I was dealing with. She had like issues with Black Americans, specifically like in the city. Like she was like, I took her to where I was from, and she was kind of looking down on North Philly. We literally drove by my block, and she was like, "Ew," didn't know that was my block. And so I wrote about that, and then she hit me up out the blue. I didn't even know she still followed me. I didn't know she followed me at all. Again, this was back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So she hit me up and was like, "You made it seem like I'm not proud of being a Black woman." I was like, "No, I made it seem like you wasn't proud of my block. I ain't said you ain't like Black people." Another ex said I was using artistic license in our story, which I'm fine with. That. There are some things I'm gonna have to be an artist about, but I was like, but did you cheat or not? Because that's the crux of the story.
Right now, they say there's 3 sides to a story. It's your side, her side, and the truth. So, and we all live in our perception of what's happening. So
Exactly.
You're retelling your perception of those stories.
That was it. I'm like, again, if you have your side, I'll tell it. But I mean, you did cheat. That was like the crux of the story. Like that's what you did. And then a friend of mine was mad that I told a story about him, and it got back. He didn't tell me. But one of my friends that I grew up with, he was like apparently like pissed at me. And Bruce, he went to Bruce like, yo, what's Perry number? Cause I'm gonna call him a cut. And Bruce was like, I was there that night. Did it happen? Yeah. Then why you mad? He told it. It happened. He's like, I guess you right. So we cool, but he wasn't happy that I told the story. He think I made it. It was funny. I didn't make him like an idiot, but he
like, you know,
you was
more
drunk. I said you was drunk. I ain't say like you're an idiot in person. You just, you know, you get a little wild when you get drunk. That was all. So he was a little upset. But other than that, I feel like people have to admit it was them to be mad about it. Like I never use the real name. I always kind of alter appearances and things like that. So I think people
unless
have to
they give
admit.
you permission to use their real name, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
Bruce is a feature. You know,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, who are listening or watching, Bruce is a longtime best friend, I guess, right?
Like a day one.
Yeah, day one,
Like a day one.
friend of
Yeah.
his. I've had the pleasure of meeting Bruce a few times, so
Yeah.
he's a cool dude.
And I have not exaggerated anything about him. What you see is what you get.
And I was around for a lot of those stories,
Yeah.
hearing them like firsthand before before the Trashterpiece Theater days.
Years before, like
Yeah.
as they were happening, I'm telling like you ain't gonna believe.
Like my perception of Bruce before I met him was completely different from what I finally met him. He's one of those people that like, yeah, he's got these crazy stories, but he's such a like nice guy.
He really is.
So
He's like the nicest guy ever, but you know, he just, it's not like he's crazy or like a bad far. Like he's like the nicest person you'll meet, but he's just funny and we've gotten to a lot of things together. So he's like one of the best people I know. But like I use, you know, my sister's name, my dad's name, like people in my life who, you know, don't really care. But in the fleshed out versions of the show.
I know I've been mentioning a couple of
Sharvy's been mentioning a couple stories. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was gonna ask this question about your creative process, but I think we kind of touched on that already when you were talking about now you storyboard, you know, you have your, you know what story you're gonna talk about, you write it out. But when I mean, I always say you're one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life, right?
Thank you.
There's many videos on YouTube of me like wheezing from laughing so hard, from like bloopers from, you know, Vision used to help me with some of my short films back in the day. So there was some blooper reels we used to have on there. But how do you know when you're writing or even when you're recording when a joke feels right or when it's not landing right?
The funny thing about that is that's imposter syndrome now creeps in that way too, because I'll have a story and I'm like, yo, this is funny. And I'll write it out. I'm like, yo, this is funny. And then when I animate it, I'm like, okay, I'm allowed to not be funny every week. And then it lands later on. So it's such a weird process. Like there's a couple episodes where I really made myself laugh. And I'm like, I don't care how this lands. This is funny to me. I don't care if nobody gets this. This is hilarious to me. So those ones I know that are always going to hit. But there's been some that's like, wait a minute, I wasn't even trying to make that funny. And everybody in the comments is laughing at this one thing that was a throwaway line to me. Like I was just being, you know, messing around with some alliteration. So I never quite know what the audience is going to laugh at. I still haven't figured that out. But if I can make myself laugh, then I'm happy. And there's sometimes where I'm like, yo, I can't believe I wrote that. And especially now that I've developed like this character PP. Like PP is like one of the funniest. Like for those who've never seen it, it's like the inner voice of the main character, which is Perry. It's like is shown as a talking eggplant against a plaid boxer background that's ever changing, and he just says like the inner dialogue, like the unfiltered voice, and that PP always makes me laugh. Like I didn't just write it because I would never say this myself, but PP is allowed to say
but
it.
it's inner dialogue.
Yes.
It's
He's like this cosmic sexual energy where it's like. And where that came from, I was telling this story about, I was driving, I think I think I might have still been at Dickinson. I might have been home for like the summer or something. And I was going to see this John, because, you know, Ratchet. And she lived in South Jersey, but not like Cherry Hill, South Jersey, not like Linden Walls. She lived in like the corn part, like Salem County.
Out in the farm areas.
She lived in the farm area. So I'm driving down this farm. It's corn on this side. It's corn on that. I'm like, what the hell am I? Like, I'm going through this story. I'm like, what the hell was I doing there? Why would I ever drive? This is pre-GPS. This is your phone roaming. This is bad signal. I had like an OmniPoint phone with like a couple minutes on it. It just was, and I was like, yo, thinking with the wrong head. And that's where that came from. And it was only supposed to be one episode, but I enjoyed writing the character so much. I'm like, most of my decisions was thinking with the wrong head. I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. Well, I mean, we halfway here. We might as well just keep going. So that's where that came from. And it's been like such a liberating thing to be able to write that character to kind of explain why like dumbass young men do the dumb stuff that we do. It's thinking with the wrong head. Outside of like social stuff.
So, of your stories, which has been your favorite one to tell?
So I think my favorite story to tell is probably the one I told first on AOL. Like my very first story I told was on AOL. It was the hotel story. And me and my friends, our favorite hangout spot was a spot called the Stinger.
I remember the hotel story.
Yeah. I told this that night. I literally went home and wrote this out on AOL. And we went to the Stinger. We were supposed to go to this hotel party. And Bruce's old head kept saying it's gonna be this popping hotel party, So we all ready to go to this hotel party. Bruce show up late, and then Bruce don't have none of the information we need for the hotel. He just knows it's a hotel party. He don't know where it's at. He don't got no details. I'm like, we all dressed up. We gonna go to the Stinger. Screw this. Like that's the go-to. It never lets us down. We got there. It was like 10-1 girls to guys, and it was like the best experience ever. Then Bruce old head finally called him. And it's like, hey, look, I know where it's at. It's at the airport. It's I think it was the Hawthorne Suites or the Philadelphia Suites, something like that.
As soon as you say airport, that should have been the red flag right there.
It should have been. But it wasn't. So we like, screw that. It's 10-1 in here. I don't care about that party. Screw that. And then he called back. He's like, actually, it's a lingerie party. And we was like, see you later, bye. We go to the airport. We go to the airport and we find the party. Bruce didn't know the room, so we had to like snoop around and listen to doors. We find the party. And it was like, again, we like 19, 20 at the time, 21 maybe. We get in there, and there's 50-year-old, 60-year-old women in there in lingerie, like big burly women tossing up us against the wall. And I'm with some thugs. I myself am thug. I'm thug adjacent, but I was with some thugs. I was with some shooters, and we was just getting ragdolled, and it was the craziest thing. And we had to like we ran out the door. These women chasing us down the hall, and it's not like an indoor hallway. It's like one of them things where you go out the door and you're outside. So they're barefoot in lingerie chasing us down. It was just a mess. And again, being with these thugged out guys, it was like, yo, we never tell this story to anybody. I went right home and went right to AOL like, yo, y'all ain't gonna believe what happened. So,
and now it's been immortalized on Trashterpiece Theater.
And I got cussed out for that. I got cussed out. Like I got cussed out for telling that story. But it's funny.
You'll give him some residuals one day.
It's out there now. It's out there now. Everybody was safe, but between that one and a recent one I did, where I got out light skinned at the Stinger. This guy invaded my turf. So it's called 50 Shades of Beige. It's one of my more recent ones.
Yeah, I was about to say, didn't that one recently came out? Because I haven't seen that on my feed.
Yeah, so like it's between those two. Like again, I just love. These are my favorite ones to tell. Ones I make myself laugh, and ones I make like you were how arrogant were you? How stupid were you? And I remember as I was unfolding this, and this is a cool Sharvy story. I remember as I'm unraveling this, and I don't know if it was Twitter or somewhere else online, maybe it's Facebook or Twitter. I was like, I was like, what the hell? Who the hell mans was I? Why y'all let me be this way? And you wrote back and was like, did you know you back then? Like, you're right, I'm gonna shut up. You was like, did you even know yourself? Like,
what used to just completely mush my whole life. If I said something, you take your big ass basketball hand and it would just mush my whole face.
Get out of here. Yes, I ain't listening.
Oh, wait till I'm gonna ask Rhythm, because Rhythm can confirm.
I believe you.
You grab my arm and you would squeeze it real hard.
I believe you.
So at a certain point, I had to shut up.
I ain't listening to nobody.
I'm not trying to say you was being abusive. You had that big brother energy.
Yeah.
Where
and I was hard-headed. And I was hard-headed. Ridiculously hard-headed. Like, not listening to nobody, thinking I thought I know everything. I'm working on it. I'm better.
I mean, listen, when I'm giving you my suggestions of, my creative and marketing and branding expertise, you're receptive to it.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm at a point out, like, I know what I'm good at, and I know that I know where I'm not good at, and I gotta, like, humble myself. Like, I'm not strong here, but I'll get strong. But I gotta lean into people who that's what they do.
Yes,
and that's what they're good at. I gotta lean into that.
I had this conversation on a podcast that's coming out next year about outsourcing. Yeah. Right? We think about outsourcing on a corporate level. We never think about outsourcing on a personal level, right? And I had brought up the fact my cousin and his wife have a housekeeper, and it's like, when you think about housekeepers, you think rich people have housekeepers, but everyday people can have a housekeeper. If you don't like cleaning, and you can have somebody come in your house twice a week for $100 or however much, like, that's that why are we making ourselves miserable
Yeah.
with things
Yeah.
we don't enjoy if we can outsource it? So it's like if
Absolutely.
for a creative or as a business, if there's an aspect of what you're doing that you need assistance with, and it's something that you just don't wanna do yourself because it's draining, outsource it. And if
Yeah.
you don't
Yep.
have the finances to outsource it right now, you find somebody you can collaborate. And when I say collaborate, I don't mean use people. I mean
Yeah.
exchange of services and benefits. So,
100%.
yeah. So, but speaking of that, so at what point did you realize that with Trashterpiece Theater, it was no longer a hobby, but now it could actually become like a brand and a business and a potential livelihood?
Um, it's a good question. I think I knew I was onto something. I knew I was onto something immediately. Like maybe not immediately, but like maybe like the fact that I was able to get people to wait per slide for the next part of the story.
Mhm.
When I had people locked in every Saturday at noon for 3 freaking hours, like locked in. Like I'm like I'm onto something. But Hollywood is so, and not that I'm in Hollywood for like not even remotely. Um, when I started making when I the first check I got from Instagram, I was like, "Oh, we can get paid for this? Oh, okay," and I ain't even try.
Mhm.
And then, like, when Hollywood folks start knocking, when a celebrity this is in my DM, and now this production company is in my DM, I was like, "Yo, all right, I'm here. I can do this. Like, this is something that I can." I never again. I didn't go to school for this. I never, you and I, you know me forever. I never told you I had any aspirations of doing this. But when things started going viral and people that I respect was like, "Yo, this is dope. Like you have something." That's when it was like, "All right, I think I'm going to go all in with this. Like no plan B. This is going to work and it doesn't matter how long it takes. This is going to work."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you have a great passion for this as
Yeah.
far as you seem to really enjoy it. Seeing you do a lot of things. But with this, like your creative energy is just like expanding, and especially with the spinoffs, and then I'm seeing you invest in this way more than you've ever done with anything. So
Yeah.
it's definitely, I would say, one of your callings. But how would you say that um your background, identity, and culture show up in the characters and the stories of Trashterpiece Theater?
It's everything. Like it's every like number one, if we're talking background, like again, I'm very heavy into my pop is a big part. My pop is like my biggest influence. Like that, I revere that man. Anybody who know him, he a stand up dude. Um, he is a little player back in the day. Like there's no, he was a player back in the day. Everybody knew in North Philly knew my pop was a player. Like it was he had a reputation for getting the Jones, and so that's a part of it. But just like having him be such an influence, and me, he never was like, "Hey, this is what you have to do to be a man." Like in the sense of getting girls and being a man. He never like that was never like an expectation. There's always been like, "Yo, do what you love to do. Just work hard." And my background is, from North Philly. Philly is a character in Trashterpeace. Like Philly is the
I was
main one
just
of the
about to bring
main
that up.
characters.
Like, you
Yeah.
pay homage to Philly a lot
Yes.
throughout the series.
Philly is in specific Philly and the era are like married. Like they're both main characters and like, the era, if you were around in Philly back then, you get it. Like you understand that it was its own character. This is this is the state prop days, the Allen Iverson days, the neo soul
Mhm.
days where Philly was the destination where everybody was trying to come. And
And
it was
speaking of,
just,
you have another spinoff of your childhood days in Philly, right?
yeah,
So
the tater thought years,
Tater Thought.
the tater thought years, yeah. But I mean, like again, so even then, it's like that era. That was like the New Jack Swing era in Philly. So Philly's a main character. Growing up in North Philly, like Philly is very gatekeepy.
Mm.
Philly is like one of the most gate kept cities. Like we don't like if you from on the other side of Cheltenham Avenue, I could throw a rock and hit your house on the other side. It don't matter. You not Philly. Like Philly, and then it's like, where you from in Philly? Oh, North Philly, what part of North Philly? Or who who your grandma? Like, All of that
It's
is like
so
very
funny
Philly.
'cause, down here in El Paso, I've run into several people from Philly here, and so I'm like, "Oh, from Philly," and obviously we know I'm from Delaware
Delaware
County,
County, yeah.
but they you know, or somebody else will be like, "Oh, she's from Philly," and they be like, "Oh, what part?" I'm like, "Well, technically."
From right outside of
Right on the other
Philly.
side of the border is Southwest
Yeah.
Philly, right in Delaware County, and they're like, "Oh, okay." So it's like, obviously, if I say Delaware County to people who live in Texas, they don't know what that is, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
so
say
it makes
Philly.
sense. It makes sense when you're out of town because again,
Yeah.
a lot of times, again, when you're out the country, like it's even hard. Usually, I'm from Philly. They be like, never heard of it. And it's like I'm not saying New York.
Well,
New
most
York
people
here,
well,
Philly here.
I was in Korea, and we would say Philadelphia, they knew. I mean, 'cause Will
Oh,
Smith,
that's cool.
like, people, they know celebrities from
Yeah,
Philly,
Will
right?
Smith. I guess Kevin. Yeah, that makes sense.
People watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so
That makes sense. That makes
Philly
sense.
is known.
Cool, cool.
But occasionally I'll say Philadelphia, and they're like, "Huh?" Down here, it's usually people who have come over from Mexico,
Yeah.
but yeah, so there's definitely that culture of, like, you can't front about being from Philly 'cause
Yeah.
to people from Philly 'cause they gonna drill you down.
It's gonna get real
What block
granular.
you from?
Yeah. Like the other day I did a pod and come to find out the guy's a few years younger than me, but we went to the same elementary school. So I think he might have been questioning, like, because again, I'm from North Philly. And he's like, well, where we're at, I'm like 22nd in Indiana, 22nd Lippincott, which he don't really, that's not up that end. But my grandma lived on my grandma lived on 28th in Oxford. My aunt's sister lived on 29th in Jefferson. And so when he says like, oh, word, what school you went to? I'm like, I went to Kelly. And he's like, who was the principal? I was like, Mr. Bellows. He's like, oh, okay. Like it was like I got grilled. I had it's like it gets real granular. Like, oh, you went to Kelly. Who was the principal? What teacher you had? Like it gets people want to know. Like it gets very, very
Like that
granular.
Kendrick Lamar song.
Yeah, where your grandma stay, huh? It's very similar to that, but I try my best. I remember vividly what the city looked like back then. So we used to hang on South Street outside of Tower Records. So I have to make that look like Tower Records. We used to hang out on 4th Street right near Ishkabibbles. So Ishkabibbles has to look like Ishkabibbles for me, for my sanity. Somebody from Sacramento, it ain't gonna matter if it's just some random store, but people from Philly got it like, whoa, that's not how Ishkabibbles didn't look like this generic thing. It has to look exactly like that for me. Palmer's has to look like Palmer's. And that's one of the best compliments you can give me. Questlove was like, that looked just like Palmer's, Viz. And I was like, that meant so much to me because I know that we all have fond memories of these places. So if I can spark a memory, if I can get you to think about a great time you had at Palmer's or Fluid or something like that, then that makes me.
5 spot in there yet?
I do have a 5 spot. I got a little 5 spot.
I gotta go back and binge some episodes.
Yeah, I got a little 5 spot reference. But if I can get you to, if I can, that means something because like no, now you're like, it's not just fun. It's not just a lesson. It's like now also this nostalgia. Now you're connected to it. I was in that room. I was there for this night, and that means a lot to me.
Well, that's really what's the word I'm looking for? I guess you already said it, nostalgic, like,
Yeah.
for people that you have basically made the city a character,
Yes.
as part of the story, and I definitely am one of those people that I'm looking at the background and stuff in certain scenes, especially
Yeah.
when it's, like, on the streets and stuff, like, "Oh, I remember that was there." Um, so, I mean, you kind of already touched on it. That was gonna be my next question was, like, like, do you feel a certain responsibility of, like, really representing Philadelphia in the episodes? But you already, like, hit the nail on the head with that. So, um, I do wanna kinda talk about we've touched on the imposter syndrome, and sorry, I forgot to mute my phone. You brought up a little bit about the vulnerability of, um telling these stories and having the retrospective look on, like, who you were at that time.
Yeah.
So, um, have you had any moments where the art is not really matching up with what the moments are in your head? You know what I mean? Like, when you're creating and it's like, "This is how I remember it, and it's not coming out right." Like, what do you do in those moments?
So a little unknown fact was if you work with the animation suite I'm working with is not designed for what I do. It's designed for like to make like short little training videos. It's not designed for like elaborate storytelling. So a lot of the things you see is literally just like different squares and rectangles that I turned into a building with the right shades. And so it might take me, and you understand this as an editor, one little 2-second throwaway establishing scene of me, Bruce, and Nell outside of Ishkabibbles. The first time I did that, it might have taken me 6 hours because it's just all trying to get the rest. So I've been diagnosed with a form of OCD, dermatillomania. The skin picking thing is a form of OCD, and it manifests in other ways. And I've found that it's manifesting in this. If it don't look like it, I won't do it. I won't do it. Or I'll try to pivot a different way. So this way, and that's why and that's why I've learned to give myself some artistic license. So if I can't get it to look like Broad Street Eddie's, I'm gonna just say it happened at the Stinger. It still happened, but I'm just like, listen, I can't get this to look like this because this animation suite is limited.
And you want the authenticity there.
Yeah, especially since I know, especially when if it's just a throwaway thing and it's just somebody's house that I went to one time that I can still visualize, I'm fine with that. But if it's something that we all experience together, it can't be generic for me. It can't just be a stock image. Like even with the Stinger, like at first I didn't know how to do any of this, so like I had to like really freak out the interior of the Stinger to like kind of make it look. It doesn't look exactly like it did. Because of the spacing of the it's just the 16:9, it won't let me do it the way I want to do it. But it's good enough. But now it's like I've become such a stickler for it. And if I can't get it the right way, I get really frustrated. And I gotta have moments with myself like, yo, what's more important? Like getting the story out. It's okay that this happened at Broad Street Eddie's. It's okay that this happened at, Transit, but it looked like Palmer's, and it's okay. We'll just say it was Palmer's. Anybody that was there, they can correct you in the comments. It's okay. Just get the story out. So I go back. I battle with that. Like sometimes, like I ain't doing it, and sometimes, like, dude, just get the story out. It's okay, man. It's not that serious. I fight with that.
So, and I guess that kind of taps into my next question because I was going to ask, like, what would you say to other creatives who might feel their work isn't enough to put out? Because you literally just said the phrase "good enough," and I nodded. So, but what would you say to people who have a creative idea and they're kind of stuck in that almost perfectionist mode of not feeling like it's enough or good enough to put out?
Build the plane as you fly it. Do it.
Yeah.
I will never, like, again, he probably wouldn't remember this, but I remember when I had the idea for Trashterpeace, like to take it into animation. And I was backstage at an event I was hosting, and Wallow was a speaker there. Wallow from the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. He wouldn't remember this, but a friend, somebody I thought was a friend is standing there, and then Wallow's next to him, and I'm telling my friend this idea, and Wallow's just listening. And my friend like snickers, like, bro, I don't know about this. This is trash. Like what I'm doing. He's like, I don't know if this sounds dumb. And Wallow was like, nah, do that. Do that tonight. When you go home, do it tonight. What you talk like? You know how he real hype and energetic. Like, nah, how many followers you got? 12,000? That's more. That's 11,000 more than you need. Do that tonight. And I was like, oh, okay. That just energized me. Like, okay, I'm gonna just go do it. And again, it was terrible. And I'm never gonna take that. It's terrible compared to what it is now. Like at the time, I thought it was popping at the time. But I'm never going to take that down because, again, I get to see how far I've grown.
Yeah.
So if you wait to be perfect, it ain't never going to be perfect.
Listen, if you go back and you watch the very first episode of The Simpsons.
Beavis and Butthead, terrible. It's so bad.
Everything starts somewhere.
Yeah. It's never going to be, like, you have to grow as an artist. You have to grow as... You're going to get better as an animator. You're going to get better as a writer. I'm such a better screenwriter now than I was a few years ago. Now, like, even the series, it started out as being like this narration and just animation with the narration. Now it's character driven, it's dialogue based, it's different voices, and now it's different actors. And build the plane as you fly it. Just, you're not going to be perfect starting out because nobody is. Just do it.
Lyrispect used to have that line and it still resonates with me today.
I know exactly what
take
a leap of faith and grow your wings on the way down. I think about that a lot.
That sits in the back of my head all the time because I'm always like, I don't know how to do this. And I started for my day job, we started a podcast 2 years ago. I've been the producer of it for the past 2 years. I learned everything, and I'm like, "Okay, I can do my own podcast now.
Yep.
I have all the tools and the resources, and then anything else, I'm just gonna figure it out along the way." You know,
You figure it out
I had a
on the way.
background, my degrees in communication and journalism. I've been doing video editing and all this type stuff for 20 plus years now, and I'm like, "There's n what's" the only thing that was stopping me was to get accustomed to being on camera, and I did that when I was healing this summer when I was healing from surgery and bored. I was on TikTok posting every day, and I got to
Mhm.
the point where it's like, I didn't care about how I looked on camera anymore. I
Yeah.
was like, "My voice is more important."
Mhm. What
So
you have
that's
to
what
say.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. That's the stuff that matters, and people don't remember. They're not gonna remember if your hair wasn't done this one time, if you made them laugh or you made them think or you made them reflect, and, I always say, if I can make you laugh, I can make you think. If I can make you think, I can make you reflect, and that's how we all learn and grow together.
Mhm,
And and one of the underlying themes of Trash to Piece is also like again this kind of unraveling, this excavating of masculinity, specifically Black masculinity.
mhm,
And one of the things I remember, me and Kavi was on tour. We was doing this tour called Mending Masculinity, and it had come from like these conversations that me and Kavi had. And for those who don't, like, Kavi is one of my best friends, um, young trans Black man. We were having these really dynamic conversations about manhood, and we went on tour expecting to have these conversations with like frat boy. Like, it was like a college tour. We might have did like 50, 60 colleges. We thought it was gonna be like frat boys and jocks. It was nothing but women in those conversations. But
mm,
afterward, men would be waiting for us like in the hallway or trying to catch us before we leave campus to have the conversation. They were too embarrassed to be in
mm,
a room talking about it. And what we learned was the more I made them laugh and kind of goofed off with them and connected with them, now we talking. So if I can make you laugh, I can make you think. I can loosen. We laughing together. You laughing at me. I'm being self-deprecating. I'm telling my BS, and now like, yeah, I did that too, man. And now we're having a conversation, and now we can kind of grow from the dumb stuff that we did and show younger men like, yo, don't do this, man. Like, this is the consequences of that. Like, don't do that, man.
Um, yeah, so, I mean, that means you've now it's almost a full circle thing because 'cause you're kind of now using this stuff to mentor in a way, right?
Yeah.
You've been a mentor for a long time, so, um, it hopefully will help the new generation, um, one of 2 things, either avoid your shenanigans or
Mhm.
document their own.
That part. And you're gonna make mistakes, but it's like, what did you learn from it? And like, did you repeat it? So like, and even like, even if it's not a heavy thing, like, a heavy conversation, like the last week's episode was a hidden message about heteronormativity. Like I thought this woman was on me, this 6 foot John. I'm like, she cute. This was my little sister basketball coach. And the whole time she was queer with a girlfriend, and she did like me, but she wanted me to for like she wanted me to be a donor for her wife and for her and her wife. And it didn't even occur to me that this woman might be queer. She's 6'1". She gonna be on me. Like, tall Jones love tall boys. Didn't even occur to me. Like, I was so hetero. Like, it didn't even occur to me that number one, it was arrogant of me to think because she tall, she wanted me anyway. But like, having a conversation without having the conversation of heteronormativity. We don't gotta have the conversation. The episode is the conversation. And now we can like, yeah, how did you not see those signs? Like, you was drawing, and we can have the conversation without it being heavy-handed.
Mhm. So what are you dreaming about for Trashterpiece Theater for the future?
So the funny thing is, um, I didn't start this to be in Hollywood, but then Hollywood came knocking, and then that became my goal. And
Mm,
then Hollywood kept rejecting me, kept wanting to hear what I had to say, and told me how brilliant I am, and this is the best thing ever, but the timing is off. We're in the Me Too era, so people aren't going to connect to this. Meanwhile, Tarana Burke, who is like the founder of the Me Too movement, follows Trashterpeace, which is, ironic. They were saying that because we're in the Me Too, women aren't going to connect to it. I'm like, y'all are infantilizing women. This is kind of the point. One of the points of the show to not
because most of the
infantilize
people in
women.
the comments are women.
Most of my like, six is 60-40 women.
Thing is about your stories, it's not like, they don't come across to me as you taking advantage of women.
No.
It's very much, the women in the stories, it's more so they've got like the autonomy and ownership over their sexuality, right?
Their own agency, exactly.
Most of the stories is women coming at you and saying, "Come over." You know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
none of the stories really come across as you like, you know, being a predator. You know what I mean?
And that's never
So,
who I
yeah.
was. Like, again,
Mhm.
I definitely weaponized my height. You know, I definitely weaponized the light skin
That
squint.
was in your bio. Is it still in your bio? I think it's still in your bio.
The funny thing is in my bio now as on one sheets I put like the last line is like, and why I thought being tall was a personality trait. Because
Mm.
I 100% weaponized that. Like, yo, I'm tall. Like I said, even in AOL, when everybody was putting 19
Oh, yeah.
male, my shit was like
It was
19,
age,
6.
sex, location. He
Yeah,
got age, sex, location, height.
it was like 19 male, 6'7" North Philly. I was peacocking like crazy. But now it's like with the way Hollywood is, again, I'm not like anti-Hollywood at all. But I think the wave is what I'm doing. I think and this might be arrogant.
Mhm.
And then the funny thing is a bunch of producers have told me this, that I'm just a little bit ahead of where I was a little bit early to where we're headed right now. And if you watch the waves, everything is kind of being consolidated and they're pushing out black creators first. They're pushing out women of color first, then
Mhm.
black male creators after that. And we got to do our own. So I think I'm way more focused on building my own community right now as opposed to like pandering to what Hollywood wants
Absolutely.
or trying to figure out what Hollywood wants. I felt like I was writing for Hollywood at some point to like, hey, look, I can also do this. Like hearing their critiques, like I could do that.
Yeah, and then that starts to affect your creativity,
Yeah,
right?
and it makes you not even want to do it no more. Like I got to a point where it's like I don't even want to do this, and I almost quit. And shout out to my aunt Pat. She was like, she lives in Texas. She lives in Fort Worth, and I was like, I'm gonna just move to Texas, get out of Philly, and just start over fresh. And she was gonna give
Oh,
me
I
like a
like
job. Yeah, like and I was using you as inspiration. But she was like, I'll hook you up. I set you up. You know, you come down here, you good to go. Don't worry about it. You and Nuck could just come down and start over. And she was like, but I'm gonna tell you this: where you're at right now is where most people quit. I ain't telling you what to do. You got to make your own decision. But where you're at right now is where everybody who quits quit. And that means it's like, you know what? Let me not worry about Hollywood. Let me stop worrying about the validation of
Mhm.
Hollywood and just focus on creating. And now I'm like, all right, that's everybody is talking about doing their own thing now because Hollywood is boxing everybody out. All the anti-DEI stuff, all the, now they can be openly racist and just fire
Mhm.
all black and brown people because they can just do it. The
Yeah.
consolidation of all the companies, there's not going to be too much room for black stories within Hollywood. So it's like I think the move now is I think I'm just a little bit ahead of the wave,
Mhm.
doing your own, building your own. So I'm just focusing on my own community.
Yeah.
And I may not have 1 million followers, but the followers I have, the subscribers I have are rabid and hardcore
Yes.
fans and very supportive.
And
And I
definitely you can
enjoy
look
all
in,
of them.
Tubi, because Tubi is what do they call it? Like, is user-generated TV shows and stuff now.
Fox just bought it.
Oh, okay, never mind
Yeah.
that.
Fox bought it. Fox bought that John.
Oh, man. But, I mean, you're obviously on the right trajectory,
Yeah.
and you've established your fan base. If you think about, let's say, like, the Boondocks, right? Boondocks
Hmm.
was a comic first, and then it became a series, and then
Yeah,
now it's a cult classic,
it
right?
is.
So, you're on your way there.
I'm on
So,
that same trajectory. And
mm,
even like I look at things like so many things, so many people, you look at them as like overnight successes and they just weren't. Quinta was not an overnight success. We remember
no.
Quinta because she's from Philly and she was
He
doing the
got
skits.
money.
Exactly. That was like people just like, oh, this new black girl is on this
No, they
Abbott thing.
just
It's
wasn't
like,
paying
no, she
attention.
was
I remember her from Vine, but then I
from
remember her from BuzzFeed,
from
right?
BuzzFeed, exactly.
Yeah.
So she grinded. It took Squid Game's 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
They pitched that for 10 years. It took
Ava DuVernay. So, obviously we've met and worked with Ava. Not obviously for us, not for
yeah,
other people. Ava DuVernay used to have it before her production company became Array. It was a firm, it was a
a firm.
nonprofit, and had an office in Philly, that I used to shoot for. And her story about her first film, she had it sitting in a drawer because for I think like 7 years. because nobody would take her seriously as a screenwriter because she did marketing. She did film marketing. And she ended up just taking her life savings and making it herself. And then obviously look where she is now, right? So fast forward. But to some people, it might seem like she just popped up at Sundance out of nowhere and won Director of the Year. And it's like, no, she was boots on the ground in the industry, building relationships for a long time. You know,
Same with Issa. Like,
Ryan Coogler didn't pop up. Like, he may have. Most people know Ryan Coogler from Black Panther. We know Ryan Coogler from Fruitvale Station.
Yeah.
Like, when he when he did Sundance, but so, it's people gotta understand they gotta put in the work. Put in the work, but I've been really big lately on talking to people about building relationships. You
Yeah,
gotta
that's a
build
big thing.
relationships, and that's been
And
a huge thing for me because now I'm in a new city and I'm meeting new people, and so I'm really focusing on not just trying to get people to give me what I want or need, but, like, to really let's figure out, how we can build together, so
100%. 100%. I think that's a very important thing. And again, like you said, doing the work, um, being patient, and like and it's a constant belief. Like, again, everybody not gonna see what you see, and you gotta be okay with that. Like, I can't make you see what I see. And you're gonna come like, and when you I think it was Whoopi Goldberg who said it. She was like it's an old interview, and she was saying, like, if you like, sometimes you're just gonna be ahead of people, and that's okay. And when they catch up, don't be mad at them. Like, don't hold it over their head. You ain't gotta throw it in their face. But inside you're gonna be like, you can have your "I told you so" to yourself. And that's kind of where I'm at right there. And maybe that's arrogant. I don't know. Maybe that's some I don't, but I know what I see, and I know I'm
Yeah.
onto something that you can't, and nobody can convince me otherwise. And that's why I'm at this laptop 40 hours a week easily just off Trashterpeace. That don't include, the side stuff, even like the new little side thing. PP has his own advice column called Just the Tip. That takes me just the tip with PP. His own dating advice column. It's the best, worst advice you're gonna
And
ever
this
hear in
is
your
where
life.
being a poet and a writer has, like,
Yeah.
really benefited you because your play on words is insane.
Yep. Just the tip with PP.
The brand is strong, as
The
Cece
brand
Zamir
is
used to say.
strong. So nobody can't tell. And it's all right. And the sacrifice is I did enough partying. I don't need to go out. If I'm not dating, I'm not dating. I'm fine with that because I know where I'm going, and nobody can convince me otherwise. And I don't know. I think people flock to that. When you have a dream and you're passionate about it, people want to see that come to fruition.
Mhm.
The same way I was rooting for Issa, the same way I was rooting for Michaela Cole and Quinta. Like, yo, I saw the work that y'all did. I love what y'all do as Black women, but also as just artists in general. I respect that,
Yeah,
and people
the
want to
same thing
support
with
that.
Issa when we was watching Awkward Black Girl back in the day.
Yeah.
It was, setting up her own camera work and stuff like
Yep.
that,
People respect that, so I'm gonna be a respectable person. I'm gonna just keep the grind. And if I gotta grind out just a few new subscribers a week, I'm grateful for that. If I gotta, whatever it is, I'm content and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Like feeling that level of content in my art. Like, say, happiness is a beautiful thing. Let me not say screw happiness. Feeling happy and joyful is great, but when you start to feel content, like
Mhm.
whether this month is fantastic with subscribers or money, or it's a down month, no matter what, you here with it and you just moving forward. That level of contentment that I've been able to find after reading this book called You Are Here, it's been liberating. I've been such a better writer after that,
It's
and I kind of helped me
alignment.
recover from the Hollywood rejections.
Mhm. When you find what's in alignment with your
Yeah,
purpose, then the validation and all that goes away.
it
Yeah.
don't even matter, and then you start to focus on what you have instead of what you don't. Like,
Mhm.
I was counting money before I had it. I was so in depression. I was so focused on the past. And then I had this crazy anxiety because I was so focused
Focus
on the
on the
future
future.
instead of
Mhm.
being in the moment.
Yep.
And that's where it's like now it's like no matter what, like I feel good. If I can create I have the best life ever. I get to create a world out of nothing. Like, I have the best life ever. Like, every day I get to wake up and blessed to do exactly what I want to do. I dreamed about that when I was younger. And there's so many
Mhm.
people that would trade places with me. So what the hell can I complain about? I got family and a few friends that support me. If I got one friend and a dad and a sister, then I'm perfect.
Yeah.
So I just think, like, as artists, we have to find a level of contentment, and it's so liberating, and then our art starts to reflect that level of contentment.
Had to give you some praise on that one. That was a sermon right there. So, any last words for the people? Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, every Sunday I do an episode of a new episode, or even like sometimes I kind of refurbish old episodes that were like pre-PP episodes and but they'll be new to you. Every Sunday evening, there's a new episode of Trashterpiece Theater. On YouTube is Vision Poet. Not so much on Instagram anymore because, Instagram doesn't push out anything more than 3 minutes, and my episodes are 11 minutes. But every once in a while I post there, but YouTube is where I'm normally at, and it's been an amazing ride. I always answer my comments. I'm always available. You can DM me on Instagram if you need anything for real. Um, but that's where I'm at. New episode every Sunday. New episode of Just a Tip for PP. I'm thinking I'm gonna just run that on Fridays. You can always ask PP a question if you want to. You might not get the best advice, but you'll get some advice. And like that's where I'm at. I got some, I'll have some cards. I'm gonna reboot 006 7.
New season.
New season of that joint. Like I'm having I had a great time with that, and it's the only advice I would have is whatever the idea you got in your head, you don't need nobody's validation. It's in your head. Just bring it to the world. Figure out a way to bring it to the world, and you will not be disappointed in it. Whether it's 5 or 500,000 followers, you will not be disappointed with what you create.
I appreciate you, Vision.
I appreciate you, Sharvy.
It's perfect timing because my LED light was like, it's a wrap.
It was like, all right,
It was like, nope.
It was like the joint at the comedy. It was like the joint at the comedy place where they flash you off. Like, all right, you wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here. All right, thank you, Vision. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
And, everyone, tune in for Trashterpiece Theater and all of its spinoffs.
Life doesn't always stay in perfect focus. There's magic in the blur we can't ignore. Every shadow, every highlight softly shows us who we are and who we're reaching for. When the world feels out of frame, every thought, every fear, every revelation, I find my way through the quiet flame, light and life and all the limitations.